Louis Goosen gave you his thoughts on handicapping yesterday. We're going to be talking about veterinary fees and charges and how the vets work. Louis, it's a bugbear to not you, not me, to every single person out there. How does one address veterinary fees? Are they too high? Are they exorbitant? What would you say if I was a vet sitting opposite you, saying to you, I'm entitled to charge this because I run a big business. I have overheads, and I've done 7 years at university. How would you address that?
It's difficult, James. First of all, let's talk about our vets. Our vets are top class. We've got top class veterinary surgeons in this country.
Well, we said Baker McVeigh are sitting in England, the headquarters, with a huge practice there.
Yeah. Now, our vets are top class, and the service they provide is top class. So we must never undermine it. Don't go against that. And they become your friends. You know, you work closely with your vet. The vet doesn't train the horses, but you work with your vet, and so on. So that's the one side of it. But the other side of it is you've got an owner who sustains all of us, and the owner's feeling the pinch at the moment. So it's about balancing the two things. And how do you balance it? I don't know. But what I will tell you is, you cannot justify to me that when I get an account, my horse was gelded last week, it's the end of the month, I get an account for 6,500 Rand for a gelding. But if I pay cash, it's 3,000. Where can you do that with Rolls Royce? Can you do that with a Volkswagen? Can you do that with a Tata? Can you go to Pick and Pay? Because you're paying cash, you get you. Where in the world you get half price for paying cash? So that's something's wrong. Something's wrong. And that's led me to thinking. The problem is that we are in a green studio, but we're also in a very green, buddy-hugging world. And sometimes any treatment gets given to horses or often it gets perceived as being doping and so on. Or you're trying to mask pain, and we don't do that. The good vets will never do that. But there's so many rules from the NHRA which could have been tackled at council level, which have been put into place to create almost a hands-off approach to horses. A simple example, James, let me tell you, a horse gets urticaria, Ashburton, they can get urticaria. The first thing Paul Gatsby warned you about gathers, he said, what's your urticaria? 2 days later, Captain Girl had urticaria. Now, when a horse gets urticaria, for the people out there, it bumps on the skin. It's an allergy, it bumps on the skin. All you do is, well, there's 1 or 2 treatments, but you give the horse a shot of flu vet. So you give the horse a slow IV, a shot of flu vet. Within 6 or 8 hours, you see it disappears. 24 hours later, it's gone. Now, that shot of flu vet, when I was training before all of these new rules, I would have a bottle of flu vet in my cupboard. Now, look, if I'm a dope artist, they're going to catch me on race day. They're going to take a sample and they are going to throw the book at me. I'm not trying to race on flu vet. I'm talking about 2 weeks before race, 10 days before race. I think the withdrawal on that's about 5 days or something. So you give the horse a shot of flu vet and it takes it away. You don't even bother to bill your owner. It's an allergy. The horse has got over it. If your owner likes regular feedback, the horse had an allergy, I gave an injection, it's gone. Some owners don't even bother to. Eric Joel, and then they'll chat about things like that with you. They had an allergy, blah, blah. You don't even bill the owner. But today the owner's seeing a bill of 800 Rand. Because now we start with shared travel, then we start with consultation, then it's the needle so much, the syringe so much, the cotton wool so much, the spirit so much, the flu vet so much, at a hell of an expensive price. And I think that's an area we've got to address. But you can't address it because it's been endorsed by the Veterinary Council. And the state vet's got to be brought in. So they've made it very technical, whoever they are. I don't know who they are. But I will tell you that when I started training, and you were starting out at Randkiesfontein, you will sit down after the show and work it out. We had 11 vets that worked on horses in Gauteng. Today, with a smaller population, we've got 19 vets. Why? So it is a problem, and it's something we've got our Trainers Association, I think our National Trainers Association, we're going to talk about that. I think that we've got to talk to the guys and get around the table and try and sort it out.
I've always advocated, and I think this is the only way to go, that the Jockey Club should issue, the NHRA, which is the Jockey Club, should issue you a veterinary box, okay, with flu vet in it, anti-inflammatories, analgesics, anything that you might need in day-to-day, including vitamins, okay, should be in the veterinary box. And the veterinary box should have two compartments, one for scheduled drugs and one for day-to-day drugs or day-to-day use, which is B12s and BCOMs and all those type of injections which you want to give a horse, appetizers, those type of things that are not scheduled drugs. You break the seal on the scheduled drug box because you need it in an emergency. You fill in the book, this is what I did, this and that and the other, and I do it. And then they come and reseal it, and that's it. Simple. It would save a fortune, but will the vets go with it?
Okay, they won't.
Why
Now, let me
won't they
explain.
go
What
with
we did, the VAL is in the middle of nowhere. The VAL is far away. So we had no vet. We had Kobe coming Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You phone Kobe at 4:30 in the afternoon and say, listen, the horse is a bit colicky. He'll say, no, I left the VAL at 3 already. Put the horse on the float and bring it to me. So you had no vet on call. So what I did was, with the VAL trainers, we were very strong. If you remember that, we were very, very united there. And we went and proposed to the NHRA that in the security, the guard room, there's the 24-hour guard room where you enter the stables. We would like to put a steel box up there. We will put camera surveillance, which I would supply, obviously, at the time I was doing that. We would have 24-hour camera surveillance, and the security supervisor and each trainer would have a key. So no trainer can open the cupboard without the security advisor and vice versa.
So it's double lock.
So if you've got a colic, we're far away. If we've got a colic, at least you can go and give first aid, the Finadine.
Yeah.
Write it in the book, you're under surveillance, show, draw up, whatever, and go while your vet's on his way. We were not allowed to do that. They turned it down. The NHRA would not
But that is
let us do that. We ended up, luckily, we got Dr. Norman Datner to get a surgery there, and that got me into trouble with the other vets as well. But that worked for a while. I don't think Norman's there anymore. But it's just, there's all these rules.
Why can't the whole industry be proactive instead of reactive? Because proactive means that you're going to actually put things in place that are going to help everybody. At the moment, the problem is there's nothing to help anyone. And certainly as far as veterinary fees are concerned, the thing that gets me is that the farms can inject their horses with their horse sickness and flu vaccinations, and you're not allowed to inject them in your stable. They cost about 7 or 8 times the ordinary cost to get your horse done with his vaccinations. That's not fair.
Now, James, you've got to understand that things change, and luckily I can look back, and you can look back on long career as well. And you know, James, that your days at Reinke's Net, we would get a virus. But you know, you'd have a virus in your yard for a month and a half. And the rest of the year you're clean. Today, there's no virus time. It's 365 days a year. The latest one is the coughing. There's coughing going on. The one that's also come, that got to yours just before she ran, and that where they have the temperature spike just for one day. And 12 hours later, the temperature's gone.
That's what you
the
want
other
to be able
temperature
to give
virus
the
is 5 days.
Yeah.
Now, when you want to give this horse, you know exactly what the vets are going to give the horse. We know, but we're not allowed to touch it. We're not allowed to do it. And then it becomes very expensive. Now, nobody's saying we don't want the vets. We want to do their job. We're not saying that, but there's certain, as you pointed out, certain routine things that we should be allowed to do to save our owners money to keep them in racing.
What do the vets say about it?
They shrug their shoulders. And one of them, if he just sees something, he's phoning to report to you already. So I don't know how to read it. The vets will never endorse something. Why don't we have equine herpes virus vaccinations in this country? Why is it not mandatory? Because if you start with the foals that have as they lose the immunity that they're born with, if you start there, you'll eradicate it in the whole population. But then you'll have a lot less vet bills.
Yep, exactly.
So I don't know. You can't let vets decide on that. That's the problem, and that's what we're doing. We're letting the vets tell us yes, no, what we can do.
You know, it's a problem, and I understand from the owner's point of view that he gets his vet bill. Some owners get vet bill more than their training fees bills for just ordinary work. There's some stables that X-ray, scope, do everything before horses run. It's hellish expensive.
Yeah.
Are the vets fair in charging the fees they charge?
They're not unfair. That's the point. The vets are not unfair. These guys studied. They're professional people. They're entitled to professional fees. But where there's a bit of a confusion for me is when you go to your medical doctor. Your medical doctor sits you down. You say, I've got flu doctor, and he listens to you, And when he tells me to cough, he says, oh, stop smoking. And we go through all this whole rigmarole every time. And then he gives me a prescription. And then he gets paid. He's 350 or whatever the medical aid pays him for me being there.
Yeah.
Then I go along to Clicks, to the pharmacy, and I buy the medicine from the pharmacy. He just gives me a script. Tell me if you can get a script for a racehorse.
No, well, that is the problem, okay? That's the problem. You should be able to get a script for anything that you need.
Not allowed to.
Okay, not allowed to. It's a big, big problem, Louis, and we hope that we can enlarge on this some other time. We'll be back chatting about training centers.